not known for its mountain biking. Indeed, we're actively shunned. During most of the season, you're literally confined to each end of the valley. There are a couple of bike parks, one up here in Latour and the other in Les Ouches, but calling them a bike park is doing a bit of a disservice to much bigger, better bike parks because they're not the best. But if you are in the valley and you do have access to a bike, then it's worth spending a few hours at. I definitely wouldn't recommend anybody coming here specifically to go mountain biking. But if you are willing to put a little bit of effort in, do a little bit of pedaling, there are some fantastic shared use footpath trails, especially this time of year in the shoulder season when it's much quieter in terms of hikers and trekkers. You can do some pretty cool riding off the beaten track. We're here today on probably my favourite itinerary or circuit, if you like, in the Chamonix Valley, the Aiguillette de Posettes. So this is up at Latour, the Le Balme bike park ski area. And for me it works out really well because you can get here virtually on a direct train from where I live in the Faye. So you take the train up to Montroc. It's a bit of a heinous pedal up the road between Montroc and Latour. And then from here, assuming the lifts are still open, which it's actually the last day of uplift today, take the gondola and a chairlift up. This trail is just as viable even after the lifts have stopped running. It's not very pleasant, but you can pedal up from the Tour up to here, up the 4x4 track, even without an e-bike. I've done it a few times just on my standard mountain bike. Obviously it's a bit more pleasant on an e-bike, but yeah, it's definitely still viable after the lifts have stopped running. But if the lifts are running, it's well worth doing a couple of laps down the purpose-built downhill trails first to get your eye in, get warmed up before you head off over towards the Aiguillette Posettes. From the col over there, you also have the option of taking the downhill tracks down onto Vallorcine, which are another step up in difficulty from the trails here in the Tour. I think there's a red and a black there, and they're very steep and very gnarly. But we won't be doing that today because the gondola in Vallorcine shut 2 weeks ago. So yeah, that's not really viable today. But certainly if you're here mid-season, then that adds an extra bit to the itinerary as well. But if you are doing that, just be aware that the gondola in Vallorcine shuts for lunch. Such a French thing, closing the lifts for lunch. So yeah, make sure you time it so you're not getting down there just before it closes, which is what happened to me once. Then you're stuck there for an hour or more before you come back up. That's the bike park, now for the trail. The beauty of this circuit is, especially when you're still able to use the lifts, is it gives so much bang for your buck. There's minimal pedaling and it's just endless descending. From here, ultimately we'll be descending all the way down to where I live in the Faye. But even if you're just going to Chamonix, that's still a hell of a long descent for fairly minimal pedaling and minimal uphill. It's pretty damn cool. But as I say earlier, even if you had to pedal up here, it's still worth it. As you can see, even in September, very much shoulder season, almost the off season, there's still tons of pedestrians up here. But you do have the right to be here. This is a shared use trail, but of course you also have the responsibility to look out for the pedestrians, because ultimately they have right of way, and if someone were to ride into a pedestrian, then we'd lose the right to use these trails. So yeah, basically, don't be a dick. Fuck. In a few places along here, you'll see signs like this. So this is actually a designated enduro bike trail. It's on the piece map now as well. But in all honesty, the footpath is a much better trail than that trail. So definitely worth continuing along here a little bit further. Anywhere where you see signs like this, feel free to ignore them, because you still have the right to be on the footpath. As I say, it's a shared use trail, so you might as well share it. So that was the descent from the Posettes. Hopefully you agree, it's pretty awesome. It's got a bit of everything. Open, flowy, alpine single track, technical rock gardens, off-camber routes. Not anyone likes off-camber routes, but they were there. It's really tight switchbacks, open, flowy sections. It's pretty damn awesome. But the day's only half over. For now, it's onwards to the Petit Balcon Nord. Again, this is a shared use trail, so you still need to give way to pedestrians, and you're likely to encounter more along here, even in the off season. Pretty much all downhill to Chamonix from here now. From Argentière, it's best to leave the Petit Balcon route wherever you happen to come out, cross the right bank of the river and take this dirt road which goes through the woods, as the Petit Balcon is quite up and down from Argentière, whereas this is down all the way. It's got some quite nice built sections of bike trail on the left as well. My camera ran out of juice, but to be honest, it's not surprising with such a big day. But if you're just doing that circuit to and from Chamonix, then that was basically the end of all the fun anyway. From the Pra onwards, it's just basically pan flat trail along the side of the river back into town. But if you're starting all the way down here in the fire like we did, then you're only halfway through the adventure. You've still got plenty of biking left to do from there. So fundamentally, you've got three choices. You can either just continue, largely speaking, down the valley, through Les Ouches, Servoz, Shed and back down, which is more exciting than it sounds. It's basically, you can be off-road virtually all the way down. Or, if you still got some juice in the legs, you can pedal up to Coupeau, Platier, take one of the trails down there, end up in Servoz and then again almost down to Shed in here. Or, you can do what we did, as long as you make the gondola in time, take either Prarion or Bellevue cable car and gondola up at Les Ouches and ride from there down to Saint-Gervais, through the trails in Parc Famau in the Faye, back down to here. So yeah, tons of options, tons and tons of epic descending. The trail may not have epic alpine single track from top to bottom, but it's insane how much descending you do for effectively zero uphill if you're able to use the lifts. We've literally done thousands of meters of downhill today with maybe 500 meters, 800 meters of pedaling uphill. All that door to door, not to drive anywhere. So yeah, it's an absolutely epic circuit, if you will, which packs in a hell of a lot of really good quality mountain biking, as well as of course some traversing and transit sections, but still yeah, an epic journey, an epic day out, and I'd highly recommend doing it.